Hey guys, and welcome to the Spongeball Magic module of this course. There's a few different reasons why I wanted to include Spongeball Magic in this course. The main reason being is, in my opinion, Spongeball Magic is pretty simple to teach and pretty easy to pick up, to learn. And with some very simple sleights, you can do some really amazing magic with these very simple, squishy objects. For example, we could take one of these sponges and put one in the hand over here whilst we pick one up over here. And as we squeeze this sponge over here, it will look like it would jump to the other hand. How crazy is that? And the thing is, by the end of this course, you will be able to do this and so much more. Another reason why I wanted to put this together is I wanted to put something together that was really cheap and easily accessible for you guys. So most of you will have the things you'll need to start making these in your house. If not, you'll be able to go out and grab these really easily and for really cheap. Just a few things I wanted to go over. We're going to cover in this section. We will go over exactly what you need and how to start making these. We'll go over some simple moves so you can do basic magic. We'll teach you how to make these disappear, how to make them reappear, how to conceal them, and how to get them ready so you can start performing your magic. From there, we'll start going on to routining, and we'll show you some simple routines to put together to start practicing these. And then finally, at the end, we'll have a bonus resources section whereby if there's any of you who really want to learn more about Spongeball Magic, there'll be links and stuff like that there so you can start further. So let's get into making our sponge balls. What exactly are we going to need to start making these? So the first thing you guys are going to need to go and grab is a pair of snippers, also known as a pair of scissors. That'll be the first thing you need. The next thing I would recommend is getting some felt tip pens, maybe get some different colours for you guys who are a bit more creative out there. On these I just drew smiley faces. And then the obvious thing, well, the most important thing you guys are going to need is a sponge of some kind. This particular sponge I'm using is a scouring sponge. I got like 14, 15 of these for like 60p or something ridiculous like that. You can also use these sponges that you use for your car wash, like the big sponges. You can get lots more out of these. These will make 4, so you'll get like a full set out of these. But that is everything you're going to need to start creating your sponge balls, and in a later video we'll start showing you some of the moves so you can start doing some magic with these. Let's get on to the next video. So let's get into how we turn one of these into these over here. Let's jump straight into it. Let's get these out of the way. Get these out of the way, get these out. So the first thing we do with the scouring sponge that I like to do is I like to get rid of this rough bit here. Personally, I just go to the corners, snip, corner, snip, go to the corner. So it's a little bit of a tedious process. We're going to do this for 2 sponges just so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. So I was just, all we're doing right now is I'm just snipping the corners. So at the end you'll have like a little snip here, 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 and you just keep going at this until you get that scouring, that rough bit off. You just keep at it, keep snipping away. This is probably honestly the most tedious part of the process if you decide to get the scouring sponge. If you've got the big car wash sponges, or you found another sponge or something that doesn't have this, you can just skip this process, jump straight ahead. But essentially we just want the spongy part. Might also be worth noting, as you're going to do this, you are going to make a mess. So if you want to like maybe prep it beforehand, put down some paper or something, and that is what you want. That right there. This here is what we are after. This bit right here, this goes in the garbage. We don't need it. Do not need it. One more time. Just make sure you guys know exactly what we're doing. We go snip. Come on. Keep snipping. Every day I'm snipping. It's all we're doing for this first bit, guys, is we're just snipping away. first part of this lesson, I just want to really quickly go through how you make your 4 what I call basic sponge balls. And all the 4 basic sponge balls they're just the ones that you use the most. There's a lot of routines out there. I'm not going to be, as you'll find out, I'm not going to teach you, overload you with loads of magic for sponge balls. This lesson's all about like getting these in your hands as quick as possible, making this as fun if you've got kids to teach to. And this is what we're left with. We have 2 sponges. Remember, this gets set 4, so we're just going to ignore this for the time being. This is what you'll have for the first set. What you're going to do to begin with, yep, you guessed it. We cut it into quarters. So you have something like this. We've got squares now. Next, all we're doing now is, what I do is I just try and make these as circular as possible. I maybe start with the corners and do down jog like that. Cut here, just so they're like kind of slowly becoming a circular shape. You want to try and avoid a pancake if possible. Just slowly work your way around. It's coming along. It's still a little bit pancakey for my liking. But this is what's so great about these. Even if you end up making one and it ends up being so small, it's 60p. Like, it is 60p, and you get so many sponges. So this one, there you go. That's pretty circular for me. I'm pretty happy with that. And then you just repeat the process until you have 4 of these. And I'm literally going to do 4 of these for you right now, guys, because I want to, like, you guys are watching me. I'm not really paying too much attention of what I'm doing, which is why I have another sponge to get into some more fun stuff and see what I can create just quickly in 5 minutes afterwards. But again, we're just going around slowly making a circular shape with the scissors. Obviously, if you end up, the great thing about this is when you do this with kids, guys, this becomes like a whole, this becomes a lesson in itself. Like, obviously I'm using pink sponge balls at the minute, but imagine if you had like a bunch of different colour sponges. Suddenly the kids have got different options, and they can start making characters from their favourite movie and stuff, and cartoons, and it just becomes crazy. Like, these would be really good to make Peppa Pigs with. Like, if I had the patience to be able to carve out a pig into a sponge, you know, I would do it. Like, maybe I would start performing more sponge ball magic if I had little Peppa Pigs in my life. Who knows? But trying to keep on the theme of making this for children. Again, you just same again with the third one. We're going round. Boom. Making little circles. And what I try and avoid, like here, I try and avoid like these little jaggedy edges that like maybe easy to rip off. Mainly when you do sponge ball magic, like again, in my experience, I tend to do this more for children. And with the younger ones, if there is a risk of putting stuff in their mouth, I just can't see a sponge being good for the digestive system. So there's 3. Finally, we're on our last one here. So again, I've just started with the corners. Snip, snip. This gives us like a little diamond shape, I find. Again, just experiment with this, guys. You might end up finding a better method than what I do, like to making this as circular as possible when it comes to your sponge balls, at least. However, again, everything that I'm about to teach you, realistically, you could just do with sponge squares or cubes if you really wanted. There's no big difference. And we are nearly, how are we looking? Ooh, one more snip there, I think. Cool. Literally, that's it. We can then get rid of all of this. This comes out of our way. And this can just go down here for the time being. I'll hoover that up later. Comes off, and we are left with 4 sponge balls. That's pretty much it. That's how we go about making our sponge balls. So how do we make a lesson out of this? This is where it gets interesting. They don't have to be sponge balls, as I've just said. You can make whatever you want. So for example, and they don't have to be this size. Like again, when we start going into the routine and the teaching slides, you can end up loading like a really big sponge as one. Like there is, you got to understand there is no difference between holding one of these like this, and then you can pretty much get it to squeeze up to a very similar size, and you know, we'll get into that later. But this is where the fun part comes in, is when you get people to start designing your own sponge balls. So for example, if you wanted, you could maybe do a little love heart. Let's see if I can get this to work. And again, I'm just firing some ideas off you guys, like the more creative ones of you out there. And no doubt if any of you have kids are like, the reason why I started teaching sponge ball magic at a summer camp in America. That's my love heart. A summer camp called Iron Lake Summer Camp, which is where actually was the first time I ever really experienced sponge balls, so to speak. See if I can make a dog. I'm just curious. So you can see you can make all kinds of shapes. Yeah, that could possibly, I mean, once I draw the eyes, that could maybe look like a cat or a dog. And you see the point. It's super easy to make these guys. You know, they do make a little bit of a mess, but again, if you prepare a little bit, like I've got the Hoover out ready next door, Hoovers up real quick, and then you take your pen, and obviously if you've got colours, the kids can get, like, you can get really creative with this. We'll just do some faces on these, maybe with a, oh, that was supposed to be a tongue, but you know, we'll try again. So these are sponge balls, smiley face, smiley face. So a love heart, just like I'm kind of happy with the love heart how it is. We've got, try and make this into some sort of a animal, so to speak. Somewhat of a cat, and we've got a couple of cubes, and that has literally taken me less than 10 minutes to make, guys. If you wanted to end up teaching this to your kids, you could actually make a whole lesson just out of making sponge balls. Like, kids are silly creative, so go buy some sponges, get some scissors, get some pens, and start making some sponge balls, and let's start showing you guys how we can start making some magic out of these in the next lesson. See you there. Hey guys, this video is just a simple routine that I've put together that includes all of the moves that I'll be teaching you with sponges, and this will give you a rough idea of what you will be able to achieve over the coming days after a little bit of practice. So the first thing that I'll end up teaching you guys to do is simply how to produce a sponge ball. This is always useful to do because whenever you start a routine, it's always wise to start with a sponge ball. Once you have one of these, it becomes a fun game because we can sit there and literally saw this bad boy in half, and suddenly we have two sponge balls. Now, because we have two sponge balls, this is where things becomes interesting, because what we can do, we can actually take one of these sponge balls and put it in the hand over here. If we take the other sponge ball and put it in the hand, just with a little squeeze, you can see this sponge ball disappears and reappears with the hand over here. It's kind of strange. I know what you're thinking. Let's do it again. I'll do it again. In fact, we'll leave the sponge ball in the hand, remember, and we'll take the sponge ball over here. Just once again with a little squeeze. It looks like that sponge ball disappears and reappears with the sponge balls over here. Now, I'll do this for you guys one more time. If we take these two sponge balls and we put it into someone's hand, and they hold the sponge balls now, there's no way they could possibly have 4 sponge balls, really. So that is a really short routine that includes all of the sleights or moves, we will call them, that will be able to achieve this routine. It's a modular routine, so you can take out bits and pieces, and there'll be moves in there that you'll like, and there's options. So there's There should be something in there for everyone. But for now, let's move on to the next section called the moves. Hey guys, and welcome to the move section of this module with sponge balls. So now that we've gone through how to make these little sponge balls, let's go through some different things you can do to make these. You guys probably notice I'm sat slightly off screen right now just because I'm going to be getting up and down so you guys get a close up of exactly what my hands are doing when we're doing the magic with these sponge balls. So the first thing that I'm going to go through and teach you guys is how to palm a sponge ball. That would be the magician term for this. The term I prefer to use is hiding a sponge ball in your hand. That's because that's what we're doing. So it's really simple. There's so many different ways of holding these out in your hand. We're going to quickly go through two with you today. The first way is what we call finger palm. It's a coin move. Yeah, and the great thing about these guys as we're on the subject, because these are made of sponges, remember they are squishy, which means we can make them really small to put into a finger palm. So that's just the first palm right here. And the first exercise I will be getting you guys to do with both your hands eventually, but just do this with your dominant hand to begin with first, is we're going to go one, produce. And then with one hand from there, you go straight back into finger palm. Two. One, two. One, two. I'm just going to stand up so you guys get a behind the scenes look of exactly what's going on here. So I hope you can see my hand. This right here would be a finger palm. All we're doing is one, thumb goes behind, produces. And we're just going to put it straight back into finger palm. As this is on video, guys, you'll be able to go back and rewind it and replay it. That's what it'll look like from the front. So, and one more time just from the front. And we'll do it with two sponge balls this time. So here, produce. Go straight back into finger palm. Try and mirror the hands. Don't have one hand doing something weird, and mirror what you're doing with your hands. Two. So all we're going to do, that's the first technique you guys will learn, just learning how to hide a sponge ball in your hand, also known as palming. That's the first technique right there. If you can get this down really easy, guys, a lot of the stuff we'll do later on will become super easy for you. So that is finger palm. The other palm that we're going to quickly go through is like a fingertip clip. It will look like this from the front. And then we can produce. So let's have a quick look. Let's see what's going on behind the scenes. So in my hand here with this, all we're doing is we're going to squish it up into a little ball, and then we're clipping it between the middle and forefinger right here. Now the thing is with this clip, guys, is when you get it in here, you want to try and avoid just clipping the sponge like this. You want to try and get in the habit of squishing it up small first, so it's as tiny as possible. And then it's the exact same drill as before. We will produce, and then we'll work on going straight back into it. Produce, straight back into that fingertip clip. Produce, and then eventually you'll get used to doing this with two hands. So same drill as before, and this is something I actually need to work on, with my left hand at least. We go from here to there, to there, to there, to there. And you can play, the best thing to do with this, guys, is to do this in the mirror, because that way you'll learn where your angles will be at, sort of thing. So that is the first lesson of palming a sponge ball. Let's move on to the next move. So, we've just gone through how to palm a sponge ball in the hand, and you should have been looking in the mirror, see where this looks good and where obviously it looks bad. Now we're going to teach you guys, once you have a sponge ball, how to make it disappear. And the thing is, if you've watched the previous lessons, I've actually already taught you guys how to do this. It's really simple. So we're going to go through two different ways of how to make a sponge ball disappear. The first one will look like this. And that's it. So, where we go through this, it doesn't make a difference if you do this up or down. I just wanted to teach you guys 2 different ways to do this, because if you do end up teaching this to small children, obviously when people watching them do it, they'll be looking down at the sponge ball so the back of their hand can cover the move. So all we're doing is that previous exercise we did in the last lesson where we was doing this to this, is all we're doing now is we're adding our hand, and as we close over it and cover it, if we imagine my hand isn't there, we're doing the exact same thing. But our hand's in the way this time, so it looks like we've put a sponge ball inside the hand. It is that simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up and give you guys a behind the scene look. This will be very interesting to do right now. So we have my hand here. So just like before, the hand comes across and it goes to cover the sponge ball. As it covers, we do that exact same move as before. Remove our finger, squeeze. And from your point of view, you should be able to see, you still have the sponge ball in this hand. One more time. We go cover, into the hand, and then we bring attention to the hand that does not have a sponge ball in, but obviously your audience doesn't know that. Try this one more time for you guys, just so you can see it from a different angle. From this side, we go in, we cover, fingers go in, make this one disappear. Super easy. As I said, I tried to design this course so it was super easy for you guys. So it's exactly the biggest thing is you just kind of need to get into a mirror, guys, and just as your hands close, as soon as the fingertips get in the way of that sponge ball, you execute that move. So I've already done it now, and then you want to bring attention to this hand here. Don't be doing this. Don't do this. This doesn't look good. It draws attention to the hand. However, if you draw attention to this hand, no one cares about the hand over here. So that's the first vanish to learn, guys. So again, it's just same process. It's just repeating, make it disappear, and then you produce. Then you can put it back in the hand, make it disappear again, and produce. Really simple exercise. That's the first vanish we're going to go through. The second vanish we're going to teach you looks something like this. So you have a sponge ball in the hand. We put it inside the hand, just like so, and it will vanish. And then we can produce over here. This one's slightly different, so it takes a little bit more timing, but we'll go for it anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold the sponge ball in between our forefinger and middle finger like so. The middle finger will be on top, and it's going to look like as you place the sponge ball in the hand like so. Then you will use your left hand to slowly close the fingers, and as the fingers cover that sponge ball just like before, your ring finger sneaks in there, clips it that sponge ball between the middle finger and the ring finger, and swoops it into the hand and palms it. So now the sponge ball is in the hand like so. And then just as we did before, we would make it disappear. I'm going to stand up so you guys can get a look at this from behind the scenes again. So, we have our hand here. We have our sponge ball. We put the sponge ball inside the hand. The middle finger will be on top of the sponge ball. As that hand closes, this ring finger sneaks in and brings that sponge ball into the hand as we pull away. One more time, just so you got another angle. So sponge ball is in between the forefinger and middle finger. We put the sponge ball inside the hand as we begin to close the fingers. That ring finger sneaks in, clips the sponge ball, and steals it out. And it looks like it disappears one more time. One, close, clip, 3. Now you'll notice when you do this, guys, you'll be in a slightly different palming position to finger palm compared to usual. Because all the attention is here, as you bring your hand down, you could just reposition it into a finger palm. Really easy. So one more time. Goes between the forefinger and middle finger. We place it inside of the hand. The ring finger sneaks in there, clips it between the middle finger and ring finger as we curl and in. From the front, it should look something like this. So we have a sponge ball, we put it inside the hand. Oh no, that was terrible, don't do that. I forgot to close my hands there. It's very hard to do this and explain at the same time. So we take the sponge ball in the fingers, we put it into the palm, we start closing our fingers, we sneak it out, inside it goes. And that was really slow there, guys. You don't need to rush this move. It's all covered by natural motion. And do the exact same as before. So a fun little exercise for you guys once you get both of these moves down, guys, is as follows. We're just going to do one vanish followed by production, and then you do the other vanish followed by production. For example, we're going to take that first sponge ball, we're going to do our first vanish. It vanishes. And then we're going to produce. We then just go straight into our next vanish that we've just learned. Vanish. And then produce. And you're just going to keep doing this over and over again until you start getting the motion of how this should feel. But that right there, guys, is how to make a sponge ball disappear. On to the next lesson. We're going to be quickly going through a couple of moves that don't really have too much of use in terms of like putting an effect together, but they are what are known as utility moves. The first one we're going to learn is just a simple shuttle pass. It looks like this. The interesting thing about this is I'm actually using two. And the reason why we would do this in a performance sense is often we would hold out a sponge ball early on, and then we would perhaps like produce a sponge ball like I did early on. I produced one, and then I wanted to show this hand clean, so all I did was I just transferred it across and produced the other sponge ball, which obviously this hand is now dirty. So the way we achieve it, there's two ways of doing this. The first way I'm going to teach you is we are going to take the sponge ball out of the hand and pick up in the other, so it would look like this. So it's exactly what it does. We keep our hand out, we bring the other hand in, it looks like we're picking it up, put it straight into a finger palm and produce the other ball just like so. So I'm going to come up, stand, I'll give you guys a behind the scenes look at this. So we have two sponge balls. This one will be in a finger palm position. And what we do, we lay our hands out to show this ball, we go to pick it up. What we do is we produce the sponge ball in the left hand as we immediately put this into finger palm position and display this sponge ball. One more time, hand out, we go over to pick up, we produce the sponge ball as we push this into finger palm and display the sponge ball. One more time, one, produce, finger palm turn. So from the front, it'll look exactly like we did before. We have one sponge ball, leave it in the hand, pick it up, and we have another sponge ball over here. The other way you can do this, and it will look like you're passing the sponge ball from one hand to the other, but what you're doing is you're simultaneously making this sponge ball disappear as you produce this one over here. So it looks like this. This one is a little bit more finicky and it requires a little bit more timing, but it's definitely worth putting the practice in, as they allow you to do certain things like so. So the first move we did in the other one, and this is another good point to bring up, guys. When you have a sponge ball palmed right now, the reason why we do this is when you pick up another sponge ball, it looks like your hand's empty. It's just, you know, obviously this is the beauty of palming thing. And then obviously when we palm it, it opens up the avenues of splitting sponges in half and stuff like that. But we'll be getting down to all of that in the next video, where we're going to break down that routine that you saw at the very beginning in its fullest, so you can do the exact same. Look forward to Hello and welcome back to the sponge ball, the move section of the sponge ball module. One of the things that I wanted to quickly go over is, obviously you guys have learned how to produce a sponge ball now, how to make one disappear. Some of you may be asking the questions like, how do you get into a position where you are ready to start performing your sponge ball magic? And this obviously comes to the fact that, like, where do you keep these on you? So before you get ready to perform sponge ball magic, you need to get in the habit of getting these in your hand beforehand. You'll notice all my videos, you don't see me scurrying around looking for stuff, but in the real world that does happen. You're just not going to remember it. So you want to get into a position where you have a sponge ball in this position. There's a few different ways you can do this. Because these are super light and stuff like that, you can actually sit there and store them in random places. Right there, I made it look like I had an itch in my neck. I literally have just got one of these stored under here. And because they're super light, you can keep these in different places. Keep one here. Classic one, always keep one in the pocket. And again, because these are super light, you don't even have to use your pocket. You can literally just underneath the shirt, I keep one there. So it's all about just finding a place where you can easily, ease on your body, get in there, straight into the position, and now you're ready to perform. Just a really quick lesson for you guys there. Again, this is a fun little lesson. I didn't want to spend too much time on this, mainly because you could literally just make a bunch of sponge balls with kids and just have them try and hide a bunch of sponge balls on their person, which I can see being really funny. But anyway, let's move on to the next lesson. So, this time you should have completed the move section of the Sponge Ball Magic training. What we're going to do right now is we're going to really quickly run through that entire performance so you can do exactly that and show people that exact routine, and also give you some different variations of different ways to perform that, because obviously when I do this in the real world, I would normally put the sponge balls in other people's hands and stuff like that, so we'll go through that. So the first thing you need to do, we have 4 sponge balls. We're going to take 2 of the sponge balls and we're going to hide them somewhere. Doesn't matter where. In the video I hid them on top of my lap, underneath my table, so you couldn't really see them. In this case I'm just going to leave them pretty much the same place as before. With the other 2 sponge balls, normally if you're not going to be holding these, maybe put these underneath your shirt so they're quite easy to grab and get ready to perform. But the key thing is you want to start, before you start performing this, you need to have 2 of these sponge balls in finger palm to begin with. Okay? That's the first thing. And it'll be a really quick video because you've already know all the moves to do this. It's just a case of putting the moves together and making this a whole routine. So first thing we do, we take one of those sponges and we produce it. Just like so, we just produce a sponge ball. And then what I do from here is I like to do that shuttle pass where we make one disappear, produce the other one. And then normally what I would do is I would give this to someone, just put it on a table or something like that. And then I would pick up that sponge ball with the hand, with the palm, the other one's palmed in it. I would then normally, in this case I use my hand, you could do this in other people's hands, I put that inside on my hand and then I put the other sponge ball immediately on top of it. Like so, and then I just start sawing. And what it will look like is it will look like you've sawn that sponge ball into 2. That is the first part of the routine right there. We'll go through it again. So 2 sponge balls started out. We produce one, we display, we'll do our shuttle pass, maybe give this out for someone to check out, stuff like that. And then we would pick it up with the hand that's got this other sponge ball palmed in it, place it into the hand. As we go across, put the hidden sponge ball in this hand directly on top, so you'll be underneath the hand, you'll see them like this. And then we just start sawing until, sometimes it happens, sometimes it takes longer, and that's even better, because then when it does happen, it's just, so that's the first section right there. Some of you already noticed, the first thing we do, we will pick up one of the sponge balls, we will then do the vanishing and keep this closed. We will then pick up the sponge ball with the hand, with the other one palmed in it, and just immediately close our fists. Give a little gesture to make the magic happen. Show it's gone here, open this one here, and it jumps. We then repeat the process. However, this time I like to do it with the other vanish. Pick up with the dirty hand again. Show it. Do the magic gesture, and it'll pop out. At this point, you've done this twice. There's a little. You'll sit back and relax, and you'll retrieve your 2 balls that the audience do not know about. What you do from there is you'll pick these 2 up, whilst you have 2 sponge balls palmed in the hand here, and then as you do, it will look like you're just putting both these in the hand, but really you put everything in the hand. So they think you've got 2 in the hand here, you've actually got 4. shake. That right there is the full routine. We'll add one thing really quick before we finish up this video, and that is when you do this in the real world, you'll more than likely want to sit there and take this sponge here and put it into other people's hands, which is absolutely what you should be doing. Obviously, me being on a video right now, it's kind of hard to do. However, the only thing that's different, you put one in the hand here and you pick one up. As you put this in the hand, you're just going to essentially put this on top as close to the sponge as possible, and then just put it into their hand, so your whole hand's going to cover that sponge ball, and then just tell them immediately to close. No one ever picks up on this. They're not going to tell the difference if it's 1, 2, 3, 15 sponge balls. It just never happens. Personally, I've gotten away with putting up to like 6 sponge balls in someone's hand, and they don't know the difference between that and 1 sponge ball. So trust me, this stuff does work. So hopefully that explains the entire routine for you guys. And just one more time, we'll go through it in its entirety, just so it's what I'm saying. So we have 2 sponge balls extras hidden somewhere together. We get to our audience, both the sponge balls are in finger palm, just like so. Just like before, we produce a sponge ball, go across, shuttle pass, put this on the table. I'm going to pick this up with the dirty hand and put it into the hand here. The other sponge ball goes on top, and then we start soaring to make 2 sponge balls. From here, we'll pick one of the sponge balls up, we'll go into our first vanish, we'll pick up the sponge ball with the dirty hand, put it into the hand here, magical gesture. First one across, separate them again, we'll do the exact same thing. This time we're doing the other vanish with we'll call this the scissor vanish. Goes here, retain, pick up the sponge ball. In the real world, you might want to put this in someone's hands, remember, but again, because we're just learning, make this one disappear, this one jumps. Let everyone relax, everyone's reacting. As they react, we are secretly getting our extra sponges. We come back in, you know what, we'll pick these 2 up with the dirty hand again, place everything into the other hand, give it a shake, and suddenly we have 4 sponges. Now, some of you may have noticed that in earlier lessons I've just done this before, you could put a really big sponge here instead, or some other crazy sponges you guys have made. But that's why I've kind of left this as the demo, so you guys can get creative with these lessons and see what you can do with these. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I look forward to seeing from you soon. So you made it to the end of the module. First off, thank you for taking the time to go through these lessons. I had an absolute blast recording these lessons for you, and if you do have any feedback, please do get in touch with me. I'm always looking to improve these lessons for future audiences. If you've got through all this, hopefully by the end you've learned how to make these little sponge balls, and you've learned some cool little magic that you can go out and start showing people. And please, please do go out and start showing people this stuff. You'll be amazed at some of the reactions that you'll get out just from these simple little objects. Thank you for taking part, and hopefully we'll get to see you in the next module.